All right, so to find the first 5 terms, we're going to go ahead and we are going to So we're going to plug in 1. Oops, let me get back here. Okay. So 8 to the 1 is going to be 12 times 1 minus 2. So that's 12 times negative 1. That's negative 12. 8 to the 2 is going to be 12 times 1, 2 minus 2. So that's 12 times 0, which is 0. 8 to the 3 is going to be 12 times 3 minus 2, which is 12. So our pattern here is that we're adding 12. So that's going to be negative 12, 0, positive 12, 24, and 36. For example 2, my 8 to the 1, I'm going to plug in 1. Remember that we start with 1 unless it tells us otherwise. So anything to the power of 0 is not 0, it is 1. 8 to the 2 is going to be negative 4 to the 2 minus 1, which is negative 4 to the power of 1. 8 to the 3 is going to be negative 4 to the 3 minus 1, which is negative 4 squared, which is 16. So notice we're multiplying by negative 4. So 1, negative 4, 16, negative 64, and I think that's 120. Let's see. 64 times negative 4. 256. Sorry about that, guys. Number 3. All right, so this one they're giving us an A1, so we're going to fill that in as our previous term because AN minus 1 means previous term. So my first term is 1. My second term would be 2 over 1, which is 2. My third term would be 2 over 2, which is 1. So I'm at 1, 2, 1. My fourth term would be 2 over previous term, which is 1, 2 again. My fifth term, I guess, is going to be 1, 2 over 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and then 2. Well, that's sixth term. All right, number 4, we're going to start with negative 10 as our previous term. So our second term would be negative 10 plus 10, which is 0. So our next term is going to be our negative previous term plus 10. Can't have a really negative 0, so that's 10. Our fourth term is going to be negative previous term plus 10, so that's going to be 0. Our fifth term is negative previous term plus 10. Obviously, it's going to be 10. So our pattern here is 0, 10, 0, 10, 0. All right, so expand each and evaluate. So this gives us an equation. We can't use the shortcuts. So this is our starting number. This is the number we're going to end by putting in. Then we're going to add them all together. So my first term is going to be negative 1 to the third power times 5 times 3. So negative 1 to the third power is negative 1 times 15 is negative 15. My A2 is going to be negative 1 to the power of 4 times 5 to the 4. So when I do that, that's going to be positive 1 times 20, which is 20. A3 is going to be negative 1 to the power of 5 times 5. Let me make that prettier. Times 5 times 5. So that's negative 25. And then my final one, there are 4 terms between K3 and K6, is negative 1 to the power of 6 times 5 times 6. So that's going to be 30. So in order to get this answer, we add all of these together. So we're going to add all those together and we get an answer of 10. Next one, number 6, the first number we're going to plug in is 6 and we're going to stop at 11. So we're going to do 12 times 6 minus 2, so that's 12 times 4, which is 48. 12 times 7 minus 2, so that's 12 times 5, which is 60. 12 times 8 minus 2, it's 12 times 6, which is, my brain fart right now, I should know that, 72. Okay, so the next thing's going to be 12 times 9 minus 2, which is 12 times 7. 12 times 7 is 84. Next one's going to be 12 times 10 minus 2, which is 12 times 8. 12 times 8 is 96. And the last guy's going to be 12 times 11 minus 2, which is 12 times 9, and 12 times 9 is 108. So our last step is to add all of these together. 48 plus 60 plus 72 plus 84 plus 96 plus 108. So in my calculator, I'm going to add all these together, which equals 468. Now if you notice, okay, if you look at the next one, we notice that those tricks can be used because we have a constant, a linear, and a quadratic. So the equation for this one is going to be n times c. So our number of terms is 88 minus 11, which is 77, and we times that by our constant of 2.5. So the answer there is going to be 192.5. For the next one, we notice that k is a constant. So we're going to use the formulas n times n plus 1 over 2. So our n this time is 99 minus 1, which is 98. I'm going to fill that in, and I'm going to go ahead and equate that in my calculator. And this answer is 4851. Now the last guy is our quadratic. Notice the k squared. We can use the formula n times n plus 1 times 2n plus 1 all over 6. So when we do 25 minus 1, we get 24 times 24 plus 1 times 2 times 24 plus 1 all over 6. That gives us an answer of 4,900. All right, so remember, if it's an arithmetic or arithmetic sequence, it's going to have the same common difference. So 288 minus 144 is negative 144. And clearly negative 144, that would be 0. So this is going to be a no. This, we're minusing 10, so my D is going to be negative 10. And my next term would be negative 52. Number 12, let's see. So if you subtract these two numbers, we get our difference is negative 0.09. So my D is negative 0.09. My next term would be 0.72 minus 0.09 would be 0.63. Write an explicit and recursive formula for the following arithmetic sequence and find the 20th term. So first we have to find our common difference. So our difference is minus 0.1. So my explicit formula would be AN equals 12 plus n minus 1 times negative 0.1. My recursive formula would be a to the n equals an minus 1, which is previous term, minus 0.1. So now we have to find our 20th term. So we're going to find the 20th term. So 12 plus 20 minus 1 times negative 0.1. Answer here is going to be 10.1. All right, so my common difference here, we're adding 1/5. So my explicit formula is going to be a to the n equals 2/5 plus n minus 1 times 1/5. My recursive formula is a to the n equals the previous term plus my common difference. My 20th term would be 2/5 plus 20 minus 1 times 1/5. So that gives me 2/5 times 19/5 plus, 19/5. So that's going to be 21/5. Okay, so now we're going to find the 12th term of each arithmetic sequence. Okay, so for this one, we're going to go ahead and we need to find that first term and we need to find our D. So we're going to do 50 equals 100 plus 20 minus 10 times D. So I'm going to minus that 100, so I get negative 50 equals 10D. I divide by 10, so D is going to be negative 5. Now we're going to use that to find A1. So we're going to say that let me go back, 100 equals my first term, which we don't know, n minus 1, so that n is 10 minus 1 times my d of negative 5. So we're going to solve this. So 10 minus 1 would be 9. 9 times 5, negative 5 is negative 45. So I'm going to add 45 to both sides. So my A1 is 145. So now I'm going to find the formula. So a to the n equals a to the 1, which is 145 plus n minus 1 times my d of negative 5. So now we need to find the 12th term using that formula. So 145 plus 12 minus 1 times negative 5. So that's 145 plus 11, negative 55. So 145, that's going to be 90. All right, so our next one. So we're going to do 46 equals negative 2 plus 8 minus 4 times d to find our d. So that's going to be 46 equals negative 2 plus 4 times d. So we're going to add 2. 48 equals 4d. d is going to be 12. So now our second job is to find our A1. So I'm just going to use the A4. So that's going to be negative 2 equals A1 plus 4 minus 1 times 12. So that's negative 2 equals A1 plus 3 times 12 is 36. So my A1 is going to be negative 38. So my final job here is to write the formula. A to the n equals negative 38 plus n minus 1 times 12. And to find the 12th term, we just plug that into the formula here. Go back. I'm sorry, guys. 12 minus 1 times 12. So 11 times 12 minus, that gives us a 94. Lots going on here. All right, find the indicated sum for each arithmetic series. Keep in mind we're using the formula. The sum of a series is the number of terms times first term, last term over 2. So we have our first term here. We have to find our last term. So our first step is finding that last term. So S18 equals my first term plus 18 minus 1. Now my common difference here, what are we doing? We're going from 3.2, so that's negative 0.3. So my last term, or 18th term I should say, is negative 1.9. Now remember you're doing 17 times negative 0.3 plus 3.2. So now we have everything we need. Let's go ahead and find the sum. So the sum of the first 18 equals 18 terms. My first term is 3.2 plus my last term is negative 1.9 over 2. Calculator, that comes out to 11.7. For the next guy, so my first step is to find that 15th term. So S15 equals negative 8 plus 15 minus 1. I am adding 2 to this. So my 15th term is 10. So now that I have that, I'm ready. So the sum of the 15 terms equals 10 times my first term plus my 15th term over 2. So that's negative 8 over 2, which is negative 4 times 10, which would be negative 40. Alrighty, so for summation, we are still using this formula. We need to find our first term and our last term. So to find our first term, we're going to plug k into there. So 88 minus 3, 1 in for k, excuse me. So 88 minus 3 is 85. Now I need to find my 20th term. So I'm going to go ahead and going to plug in 20. So 88 minus 3 times 20, so that's 60. So that's 28. Now that I have my first term and my last term, I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. So 20 minus 1 is my n. So 19, the sum of, we're doing 19 here. 19 equals my first term, which is 85, plus my last term over 2. The answer here would be 1073.5. All right, so my first term here, I'm plugging in 1. So that's going to be 14 minus 1/2 times 1, which is 13.5. My last term would be 14 minus 1/2 times 14, so that's 7. So the sum, remember 14 minus 1 is 13, equals 13 times my first term plus my last term over 2. Answer here is 133.25.